कितने दिन रह गए? 2 दिन। 2 दिन में अपने सारे काम थे आज के।
Good morning, Sanjeev.
Good morning, Rashi.
Okay, just a second. Good morning, Anuji.
Namaste. Good morning to everyone.
We'll start in 2-3 minutes.
Okay, no
Good
problem.
morning. Yeah.
Thank you. Namaste.
Malvika,
Good morning. Good morning.
morning. How was your experience in for that spirituality global conference?
Wonderful.
Must have
है ना
been.
sister? बहुत ही बढ़िया.
So
Very
where did
nice.
you all stay?
So for me, we had actually already had a friend whose house was vacant, so we had stayed there.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Otherwise, comfort down में थोड़ी रहने दे रहे होंगे.
नहीं उन्होंने शायद एक अलग से टेंट एन में कहीं पे किया था. सिस्टर बताएंगी.
No, actually, volunteers were allowed, and I am also in the Mira apartments, not in comfort domes, but they allowed only the volunteers there, not other person. Actually, there are many from Hyderabad city. Then they said कि now you have to leave to your homes, and they have arranged buses and everything from there because there are so many guests were there.
Yeah, that is what I was wanting to know. Ki when there were guests there, so the volunteers were not must not have been accommodated in comfort down.
Some volunteers like us, we were having some places, and therefore actually also we went that we are not going to occupy the comfort dome and anything else. So that was also very comfortable. So whenever we wish to, we can go, and how long we wish we can stay there.
If you have an apartment, then that's not an issue.
Yeah, Mira, in Mira apartments, I have my apartment.
Okay.
Yes.
So they had actually also arranged जो N S में कहीं पे they had a tent for volunteers where they had put those mats, and because few of our friends, I mean whom we met, so they were staying there, who were volunteering, and they did not have any other place where they could have accommodated themselves.
I know,
So
because वहाँ पर भी Jaipur rural areas a lot of people had gone, so obviously they don't have any other accommodation. They must have been accommodated inside the Kanha ashram premises only. So
Yes.
फिर कोई tent वेंट रखा हो.
Yes, sister, because when volunteers are coming, they need some place.
Yes, that's
Yes.
true.
true.
So that was it.
बढ़िया.
Wonderful
So you were
experience.
at the time volunteering, or did you get to attend any sessions?
For me, I had attended a few sessions, not all, because we were coordinating also. The music function event, we could attend for 3 of them. But the plenary which were there on the main meditation hall, that I could not attend all because they were in between calls, and then we had to coordinate.
I know, because you had to do your duty.
Yeah.
Where is Rashi sitting in such a beautiful place, Rashi?
In sitting, this vision come that during meeting I'll sit some outside place. I don't
Yeah.
know, so I follow that vision.
Wonderful.
Actually, great.
We are feeling this freshness from here also by just looking.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a try. That's why one other mobile where recording is happening, it is in home, so that recording will not stop.
Yeah. So today we will start
Malvika
from
ji, do you want to share any experience? Was it like Bhandara or something different you felt?
Yes, sister,
Yeah.
I wanted to say something that there were so many people, right, from different organization and institutes. But I didn't feel that they are some other institutes. We are all, as when we meet with other Abhyasis of our system, I was feeling the same with them. There was no other vibrations. I mean, it was so, they are not proper words to say, but everything was so smooth. There was so much in the music, there was so much noise, and students, they were clapping like anything, making so much of noise. But heart was so calm, so peace. I mean, there was no disturbance within. Wonderful atmosphere, and nobody looks like a stranger. You feel all are we are one, and anyone can talking sitting somebody is here from other, they just start to talk without any prior introduction or something like. I mean, it was such a not everything went so easily, smoothly, flowing everything in the atmosphere, and everybody is saying that we are feeling so good, and you feel the smile in every face there, and calmness also. That was my observation and feeling. Yes, sister.
No, I think I truly resonate with what Sister Anu is saying. Absolutely, we felt the same thing, and we couldn't. I couldn't go to all the other locations at Kana because we were, had to do certain work. But then towards the last day, we had to move our stay of place of stay somewhere in Madhuvanam. So that's when we had a walk around the place, and I observed that the students were there in large number
Yeah.
as young as from class 8th.
Hmm.
So, as long as they were sitting in the meditation hall during the plenary sessions, somehow the topic was such that they all could not, sit very patiently. Naturally, it is their age. But you see, they were so loving and so smiling. You know, there was no rush. There was no pushing, pulling, nothing. It was such a beautiful environment. I mean, I was just thinking कि कहाँ से मास्टर ने हमको permission दे दी to experience that. It was amazing. The place where we were staying was one of the where Mukesh Ambani's Guruji. He was staying there also in their house. So we had an interaction with their entourage. They it came from their mouth, the way they said ki, each one of you volunteers is so much of with so much of love and purity that we want to come back again and actually experience what we have missed.
Yes.
And this Guruji also कहते I could not interact, but the owner had interacted with him and he was sharing that the Guruji, who's already at that level, you know, he himself was so humble and said that although I have had so many years in this field, yet I have to experience this. So, for which I will come back, stay here, and actually go through this. So, it
Yes.
was very heartening.
Yes. It is. Okay.
Sister
Great.
Rashi, I don't think today the two brothers are going to join. So I think it's just us.
Yeah, shall we start? Yeah, we
Yes.
should start
And
now.
Sister Shama,
Malvika
Sister
ji is
Shama.
also, Shama ji has joined already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good
Okay.
morning.
Hello, sister. Namaste.
Okay, so Anuji, will you take centering?
Okay. Please softly close your eyes. Sit comfortably. Breathe normally. And gently look to your heart. Connect with it. First, we pray for our Gurudev Daji. That he has long life and always stays healthy, happy, and we all remain connected with him with gratitudes and prayer. And now we pray that we all, those are participating in this meeting, that our hearts are connected with each other. And we are fulfilling the need of this meeting, which is assigned to us for today, successfully, properly, and completely. Now, gently we are open our eyes. Thank you.
Okay, so we will start. Am I audible?
Yes,
Is there any background noise?
no,
No. Okay, so we'll start with last week little review. Shamaji, can you review last week what we did? And Sangeetji, you also please add on.
Yeah, actually, I am not getting my notebook. I don't know
Okay.
such instance. Yeah, actually, I think what I committed, I mean, we are going to review what said, no, the 2 points to follow.
Yes, yes. Whatever you remember, you can just
Yeah,
review
sister.
for
Actually, yeah,
Malvika
I
ji and
remember I
Aniji.
told that, like, brother, he told that, breathing exercise, that pranayam and deep breathing, that's
Right.
before meditation. So that I am almost following every day. Yeah, at
Okay.
least even if the meditation is delayed by 5-10 minutes or so, but I do that almost. I'm not saying that properly. I should increase the time actually. Yeah. And second thing was listen silently. If I remember, I don't know. Sister, you have you noted down? I don't know. Yeah. So
Sangeetji?
yeah, that front there's some progress, of course, but still I do interrupt in between. So yeah, lot to
No
go.
issue, no issue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Sangeetji.
last week we had listened to Daji's talk, we had read his talk, and we had all decided to 1 or 2 points. So mine was to practice restraint in giving my speaking my views, to speak less. At 20% I was able to achieve it, 80% I was not. So
Okay.
also uh, I have to pause before speaking. So I am trying my level, but at times, in the heat of the moment, or when you're having a conversation, when you get involved in it, then it skips from my mind, though I am trying to do that. I was conscious of it all the time that I have to keep these things in mind. So I am very confident that by the end of this course, I will be master's help. I will be.
Right. Okay. I took only one that's entering before speak, but I did not follow it. I completely failed. But there is quite improvement in my communication skills. Sometimes when I speak to somebody, I feel, oh my God, I'm speaking so sweetly.
Is it me?
So, and I've shared this link to so many people. There is actually lots of going on communication skill in. I have a book readers group also, so they are also nowadays speaking about this non-violent communication skills. So I forward this link there also. So I did not did much, but I'm little more conscious what I'm speaking, and the moment I uh, break the string, I immediately understand that it's something I went wrong, and it helps me to immediately come back. So this consciousness I'm enjoying. Okay, Anuji,
Yes,
have you seen the video recording or anything?
yes,
Have
I
you read
did.
the?
Yesterday only I got time. Then I did it yesterday, and
Okay.
I
Have you note down some points out of it?
no, I didn't because I was having very little time yesterday. I had 2 or 3 commitments to do. So only I was having the half an hour. So I went through with complete. I thought ki I must before joining this workshop. So I know what happened last time. So I didn't note anything. But yes, I have heard what each one is saying, especially brother, what I not remembering the name, what recently Shama sister said about pranayam and breathing exercise. It helps a lot that we must do. It's a very good exercises. And presently, I am also attending the yoga classes in the morning, so that is also helping me a lot. And during this Bhandara, they suspended classes for 3 days, and again we have joined after coming back from 18th. So,
Okay.
and I also heard about the Daji's speech during that my listening through video. So yes, I went through with the video.
Malvika ji, have you followed the video or you read the document of week two?
Yes, sister, I read the document, the second part of that talk with Prashant Vasu, brother. So I just put a few points. And first of all, I would like to thank you for sharing the recording of the meeting that we had missed. It really helped, really helped. Thank you so much for that. So the points which I wrote, of course, were one was again, as Sister Shama said, importance of asana and pranayam, which I have been following as soon as I'm getting time. So, yes, more or less. So, what I'm stopping myself, as Sister Rashi, you had shared last time about holding the breath. Think so, even I, because the way we have been taught in one of the schools of yoga was to do, with holding the breath with counts. So, I was so much in tune कि नहीं वैसे ही करना है, but now I stopped doing that. So, I'm doing anulom vilom without holding the breath. So, that was one thing. Second thing was that what I wrote down was he said that Daji had said you have a dialogue, an open, simple, respectful, a humble dialogue with someone, you know. Hmm. Then he also talked about in to take initiative and interest rather than just saying कि तुम ये करो तुम वो करो or expecting. First, let us take the initiative ourselves and interest in what. So definitely that is the first step. So that I am yet to start to follow. You know, आदत वही है कि बोल देते हैं. But yes, the next point which I noted was to listen intently. without interruption. That is what I have started doing. I'm making a conscious effort. I would say maybe like 10%, honestly. उतना ही
Yeah.
हुआ है शुरू. Then this something, there was Sankalp that Daji had said, how do we start? So one is to take a Sankalp that whatever intentions that Lalaji wanted for us in his mind, let us have it in our heart. So that whenever I remember, or rather very consciously, I am making that intention wherever I'm sitting or maybe during walking also. That little bit I have started. And very importantly, which I realize that I have been doing that, is sensitive what not to communicate.
Yeah.
Especially at home with the spouse, आपने कुछ बोला, बात हो गई. Sometimes you feel कि अच्छा ये भी बोलना चाहिए, अपना ego लग कहता है बोलने को. Then I actually 3-4 times I realized कि no, I think I can do without it. No, why to add on to unnecessarily? And yesterday I realized कि yes, that is something वो consciously अभी शुरू किया है. So those were my key takeaways.
I think in someone house, this knock hammering is going on. Some work is
Mine
going on.
Mine is
Okay.
happening in the neighbors, so I will now mute myself. I'm so sorry for that. I
No,
will
no,
mute.
no. That's fine. When you are speaking, then otherwise you can mute. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It was a very nice review. Thank you, Malvika ji. So we are six, and chapter one is 20 page, I think. No, only 14 pages.
Mhm.
So we'll read two pages each. Okay. So shall I start?
Yes, sister, please.
So chapter one, giving from the heart of non-violent communication. What I want in my life is compassion, a flow between myself and other based on a mutual giving from the heart. Marshall B. Rosenberg, PhD.
We need not
Introduction.
we need
Hanji.
not read the forward and all, na? It's mentioned only chapter 1. We have to start.
Ha. Yes, we can read it by ourselves.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Introduction. Introduction. Believing that it is our nature to enjoy giving and receiving in a compassionate manner, I have been preoccupied most of my life with two questions. What happens to disconnect us from our compassionate nature, leading us to behave violently and exploitively? The conversely, what allows some people to stay connected to their compassionate nature under even the most trying circumstance. My preoccupation with these questions began in childhood, around the summer of 1943, when our family moved to Detroit, Michigan. The second week after we arrived, a race war erupted over an incident at a public park. More than 40 people were killed in the next few days. Our neighborhood was situated in the center of the violence, and we spent 3 days locked in the house. When the race riot ended and the school began, I discovered that a name could be as dangerous as any skin color. When the teacher called my name during attendance, two boys glared at me and hissed, "Are you a kick?" I had never heard the word before and didn't know some people used it in de- derogatory way to refer to Jews. After school, the same two boys were waiting for me. They threw me to the ground and kicked and beat me. Since that summer in 1943, I have been examining the two questions I mentioned that empowers us, for example, to stay connected to our compassionate nature even under the worst circumstance. I'm thinking of people like E.T. Hilsum, who remained compassionate even while subjected to the grotesque conditions of a German concentration camp, as she wrote in her journal at the time. I am not easily frightened, not because I am brave, but because I know that I am dealing with human beings and that I must try as hard as I can to understand everything that anyone ever does. And that was the real import of this morning. Not that a disgruntled young Gapshow official yelled at me, but that I felt no indi- indignation, rather a real compassion, and would have liked to ask, did you have a very unhappy childhood? Has your girlfriend let you down? Yes, he looked harassed and driven, sullen and weak. I should have liked to start treating him there and then, for I know that pitiful young men like that are dangerous as soon as they are let loose on mankind. While studying the factors that affect our ability to stay compassionate, I was struck by the crucial role of language and our use of words. I have since identified a specific approach to communicating, both speaking and listening, that lead us to give from the heart, connecting us with ourselves and with each other in a way that allows our nature compassion to flourish. I call this approach nonviolent communication, using the term nonviolence as Gandhi used it to refer to our natural state of compassion when violence has subsided from the heart. While we may not consider the way we talk to be violent. Anuji, will you continue? Please unmute yourself.
Violent, yeah. Words often lead to hurt and pain, whether for others or ourselves. In some communities, the process I am describing is known as compassionate communication. The abbreviation NVC is used throughout this book to refer to nonviolent or compassionate communication. In box, NVC, a way of communicating that leads us to give from the heart, a way to focus attention. NVC is founded on language and communication skills that strengthen our ability to remain human, even under trying conditions. It contains nothing new. All that has been integrated into NVC has been known for centuries. The intent is to remind us about what we already know about how we humans were meant to be released to one another and to assist us in living in a way that correctly manifests this knowledge. NVC guides us in reframing how we express ourselves and hear others. Instead of habitual automatic reactions, our words become conscious responses based firmly on awareness of what we are perceiving, feeling, and wanting. We are led to express ourselves with honesty and clarity while simultaneously paying others a respectful and attention. Empathic attention. In any exchange, we come to hear our own deeper needs and those of others. NVC trains us to observe carefully and to be able to specify behaviors and conditions that are affecting us. We learn to identify and clearly articulate what we are concretely wanting in any given situation. The form is simple yet powerfully transformative. As NVC replaces our old patterns of defending, withdrawing, or attacking in the face of judgment and criticism, we come to perceive ourselves and others as well as our intentions and relationships in a new light. In a box, we perceive relationships in a new light when we use NVC to hear our own deeper needs and those of others. Now back. Resistance, defensiveness, and violent reactions are minimized when we focus on clarifying what is being observed, felt, and needed rather than on diagnosing and judging. We discover the depth of our own compassion through its emphasis on deep listening to ourselves as well as to others. NVC fosters respect, attentiveness, and empathy and engenders a mutual desire to give from the heart. Although I refer to it as a process of communication or a language of compassion, NVC is more than a process or a language. On a deeper level, it is an ongoing reminder to keep our attention focused on a place where we are more likely to get what we are seeking. There is a story of a man on all fours under a street lamp watching for something. A policeman passing by asked what he was doing. Looking for my car keys, replied the man, who appeared slightly drunk. Did you drop them here? Inquired the officer. No, answered the man. I dropped them in the alley. Seeing the policeman's baffled expression, the man hastened to explain, but the light is much better here. I find that my cultural conditioning leads me to focus attention on places where I am unlikely to get what I want. I developed NVC as a way to train my attention to shine the light of consciousness on the places that have the potential to yield what I am seeking. What I want in my life is compassion, a flow between myself and others based on a mutual giving from the heart. This quality of first this in box, let us shine the light of consciousness on places where we can hope to find what we are seeking. This quality of compassion, which I refer to as giving from the heart, is expressed in the following lyrics by my friend Ruth Baber Mayer.
Sangeet ji,
I never feel more given to than when you take from me. When you understand the joy I feel giving to you. And you know, my giving isn't done to put you in my debt, but because I want to live the love I feel for you. To receive with grace may be the greatest giving. There is no way I can separate the two. When you give to me, I give you my receiving. When you take from me, I feel so given to. Given to.
Sister, please repeat this.
Okay,
Please.
I will repeat it.
Yes, better to get.
I never feel more given to than when you take from me. I will repeat each line twice. I never feel more given to than when you take from me, when you understand the joy I feel giving to you. And you know, my giving isn't done to put you in my debt. And you know, my giving isn't done to put you in my debt, but because I want to live the love I feel for you. To receive with grace may be the greatest giving. To receive with grace may be the greatest giving. There is no way I can separate the two. When you give to me, I give you my receiving. When you take from me, I feel so given to. So, Given to, written in 1978 by Ruth Webermeyer from the album Given to. When we give from the heart, we do so out of the joy that springs forth whenever we willingly enrich another person's life. This kind of giving benefits both the giver and the receiver. The receiver enjoys the gift without worrying about the consequences that accompany gifts given out of fear, guilt, shame, or desire for gain. The giver benefits from the enhanced self-esteem that results when we see our efforts contributing to someone's well-being. The use of NVC does not require that the persons with whom we are communicating be literate in NVC or even motivated to relate to us compassionately. If we stay with the principles of NVC, stay motivated solely to give and receive compassionately, and do everything we can to let others know that this is our only motive, they will join us in the process, and eventually we will be able to respond compassionately to one another. I am not saying that this always happens quickly. I do maintain, however, that compassion inevitably blossoms when we stay true to the principles and process of NVC. The NVC process. To arrive at a mutual desire to give from the heart, we focus the light of consciousness on 4 areas, referred to as the 4 components of the NVC model. The 4 components of NVC are: number 1, observations; 2, feelings; 3, needs; and 4, requests. First, we observe what is actually happening in a situation. What are we observing? Others saying or doing that is either enriching or not enriching our life. The trick is to be able to articulate this observation without introducing any judgment or evaluation. To simply say what people are doing that we either like or don't like. Next, we state how we feel when we observe this action. Are we hurt, scared, joyful, amused, or irritated? And thirdly, we say what needs of ours are connected to the feelings we have identified. An awareness of these 3 components is present when we use NVC to clearly and honestly express how we are. For example, a mother might express these 3 pieces to her teenage son by saying, "Felix, when I see 2 balls of soiled socks under the coffee table and another 3 next to the TV, I feel irritated because I am needing more order in the rooms that we share in common." She would immediately follow with the 4th component, a very specific request. Would you be willing to put your socks in your room or in the washing machine? This 4th component addresses what we are wanting from the other person that would enrich our lives or make life more wonderful for us. Thus, part of NVC is to express these 4 pieces of information very clearly, whether verbally or by other means. The other part of this communication consists of receiving the same 4 pieces of information from others. We connect with them by first sensing what they are observing, feeling, and needing. Then we discover what would enrich their lives by receiving the fourth piece, their request. Next.
Shamaji, will you
Yeah.
read for us? Yeah,
Okay,
please
sister.
go on.
I'll just put my video off, huh? Because I'm doing. As we keep as we keep our attention focused on the areas mentioned and help others do likewise, we establish a flow of communication back and forth until compassion manifests naturally. What I am observing, feeling, and needing, what I am requesting to enrich my life, what you are observing, feeling, and needing, what you are requesting to enrich your life. NVC process. The concrete actions we observe that affect our well being. How we feel in relation to what we observe. The needs, values, desires, etc., that create our feelings. The concrete actions we request in order to enrich our lives. When we use this process, we may begin either by expressing ourselves or by empathetically receiving these four pieces of information from others. Although we will learn to listen for and verbally express each of these components in chapters 3 to 6, it is important to keep in mind that NVC is not a set formula but something that adapts to various situations as well as personal and cultural styles. While I conveniently refer to NVC as a process or language, it is possible to experience all four pieces of the process without uttering a single word. Two parts of NVC. One, expressing honestly through the four components, receiving empathetically through the four components. The essence of NVC is in our consciousness of the four components, not in the actual words that are exchanged. This is important. Applying NVC in our lives and the world. When we use NVC in our interactions with ourselves, with another person, or in a group, we become grounded in our natural state of compassion. It is therefore an approach that can be effectively applied at all levels of communication and in diverse situations. Intimate relationships, families, schools, organizations and institutions, therapy and counseling relationships, diplomatic and business negotiations, disputes and conflicts of any nature. Some people use NVC to create greater depth and caring in their intimate relationships. When I learned how I can receive uh, here as well as give, that is, express through using NVC, I went beyond feeling attacked and dogmatic to really listening to words and extracting their underlying feelings. I discovered a very hurting man to whom I had been married for 28 years. He had asked me for a divorce the weekend before the NVC workshop. To make a long story short, we are here today together, and I appreciate the contribution that NVC has made to our happy ending. I learned to listen for feelings, to express my needs, to accept answers that I didn't always want to hear. He is not here to make me happy, nor I am here to create happiness for him. We have both learned to grow, to accept, and to love so that we can each be fulfilled. Yes, Sister Rashi.
Yeah. Malvika ji, if there is sound, so uh we'll skip you,
Whatever,
or is
अभी
it
I
fine?
try to shift the place. So let me read. अगर लगे तो आप इंटरप्ट करके मुझे बता दीजिए. I will stop and someone can take over.
Yeah, sure. अभी तो सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है. Continue.
Others use it to build more effective relationships at work. I have been using NVC in my special education classroom for about 1 year. It can work even with children who have language delays, learning difficulties, and behavioral problems. One student in our classroom splits, swears, screams, and stabs other students with pencils when they get near his desk. I cue him with, please say that another way. Use your giraffe talk. Giraffe puppets are used in some workshops as a teaching aid to demonstrate NVC. He immediately stands up straight, looks at the person towards whom his anger is directed, and says calmly, would you please move away from my desk? I feel angry when you stand so close to me. The other students might respond with something like, sorry, I forgot it bothers you. I began to think about my frustration with this child and to try to discover what I needed from him besides harmony and order. I realized how much time I had put into lesson planning and how my needs for creativity and contribution were being short circuited in order to manage behavior. Also, I felt I was not meeting the educational needs of the other students. When he was acting out in the class, I began to say, I need you to share my attention. It might take 100 cues a day, but he got the message and would usually get involved in the lesson. A teacher in Chicago, Illinois. Is the noise still disturbing you all? Okay, I'll continue. A doctor writes, I use NVC more and more in my medical practice. Some patients ask me whether I am a psychologist, saying that usually their doctors are not interested in the way they live their lives or deal with their diseases. NVC helps me understand what patients' needs are and what they need to hear at a given moment. I find this particularly helpful in relating to patients with hemophilia and AIDS because there is so much anger and pain that the patient or health care provider relationship is often seriously impaired. Recently, a man with AIDS, whom I have been treating for the past 5 years, told me that what has helped her the most have been my attempts to find ways for her to enjoy her daily life. My use of NVC helps me a lot in this respect. Often in the past, when I knew that a patient had a fatal disease, I myself would get caught in the prognosis, and it was hard for me to sincerely encourage them to live their lives. With NVC, I have developed a new consciousness as well as a new language. I am amazed to see how much it fits in with my medical practice. I feel more energy and joy in my work as I am amazed to see how much it fits in with my medical practice. I feel more energy and joy in my work as I become increasingly engaged in the dance of NVC, shared by a physician in Paris, France. Still, others use this process in the political arena. A French cabinet member visiting her friend sister remarked how differently the sister and her husband were communicating and responding to each other. Encouraged by their descriptions of NVC, she mentioned that she was scheduled the following week to negotiate some sensitive issues between France and Algeria regarding adoption procedures. Though time was limited, we dispatched a French speaking trainer to Paris to work with the cabinet minister. The minister later attributed much of the success of her negotiations in Algeria to her newly acquired communication skills.
Okay, I'm continuing after this. In Jerusalem, during a workshop attended by Israelis of themselves, Israelis of varying political persuasion, participants used NVC to express themselves regarding the highly contested issue of the West Bank. Many of the Israeli settlers who have stabilized themselves on the West Bank believe that they are fulfilling a religious mandate by doing so, and they are locked in conflict not only with Palestinians but also with other Israelis who recognize the Palestinian hope for national sovereignty in the region. During a session, one of my trainer and I modeled empathetic hearing through NVC and then invited participants to take turns role playing each other's position. After 20 minutes, a settler announced that she would be willing to consider relinquishing her land claims and moving out to the West Bank into internationally recognized Israeli territory if her political opponent could listen to her in the way she had just been listened to. Worldwide, NVC now serves as a valuable resource for communities facing violent conflicts and severe ethnic, religious, or political tension. The separate of NVC training and its use in meditation by people in conflict in Israel. The Palestinian Authority, Nigeria, Rwanda, Syria, Leone, and elsewhere have been a source of particular gratification for me. My associate and I were once in Belgrade to 3 highly charged days training citizens working for peace. When we first arrived, expression for desire were visibly seized on the trainees' faces for their country was then enmeshed in the brutal wall of Bosnia and Croatia. As the training progressed, we heard the ring of laughter in their voice as they shared their profound gratitude and joy for having found the empowerment they were seeking. Over the next 2 weeks, during trainings in Croatia, Israel, and Palestine, we again saw desperate citizens in war torn countries regaining their spirit and confidence from the NYC training and received. I feel blessed to be able to travel throughout the world teaching people a process of communication that gives them power and joy. Now, with this book, I am pleased and excited to be able to share the richness of nonviolent communication with you. Summary: NVC helps us connect with each other and ourselves in a way that allows our natural compassion to flourish. It guides us to reframe the way we express ourselves and listen to others by focusing our consciousness on four areas: what we are observing, feeling, and needing, and what we are requesting to enrich our life. NVC fosters deep listening, respect, and empathy, and engenders a mutual desire to give from the heart. Some people use NVC to respond compassionately to themselves, some to create greater depth in their personal relationships, and still others to build effective relationships at work or in the political arena. Worldwide, NVC is used to mediate dispute and conflicts at all levels. NVC in action. Interspread throughout the book are dialogues entitled NVC in Action. These dialogues intend to impart the flavor of an actual exchange in which a seeker is applying the principle of nonviolent communication. However, NVC is not simply a language or a set of techniques for using words. The consciousness that it embraces may be expressed through silence, a quality of presence, as well as through facial expression and body language. The NVC in action dialogues you will be reading are necessarily distilled and abridged version of real life exchange, where moment of silence, empathy, stories, humor, gesture, and more would all contribute to a more natural flow of connection between the two parties than might be apparent when dialogues are condensed in print. Sangeet ji, will you continue?
Murderer, assassin, child killer. I was presenting nonviolent communication to about 170 Palestinian Muslim men in a mosque at Deshe refugee camp in Bethlehem. Attitudes towards Americans at that time were not favorable. As I was speaking, I suddenly noticed a wave of muffled commotion fluttering through the audience. They are whispering that you are American, my translator alerted me, just as a gentleman in the audience leapt to his feet. Facing me squarely, he hollered at the top of his lungs, "Murderer!" Immediately, a dozen other voices joined him in chorus, "Assassin, child killer, murderer." Fortunately, I was able to focus my attention on what the man was feeling and needing. In this case, I had some cues. On the way into the refugee camp, I had seen several empty tear gas canisters that had been shot into the camp the night before. Clearly marked on each canister were the words, "Made in USA." I knew that the refugees harbored a lot of anger towards the United States for supplying tear gas and other weapons to Israel. I addressed the man who had called me a murderer. Marshall Rosenberg, are you angry because you would like my government to use its resources differently? I didn't know whether my guess was correct. What was critical was my sincere effort to connect with his feeling and need. Man, damn right I'm angry. You think we need tear gas? We need sewers, not your tear gas. We need housing. We need to have our own country. Marshall Rosenberg. So you're furious and would appreciate some support in improving your living conditions and gaining political independence. Man, do you know what it's like to live here for 27 years the way I have with my family, children, and all? Have you got the faintest idea what that's been like for us? Marshall Rosenberg. Sounds like you're feeling very desperate and you are wondering whether I or anybody else can really understand what it's like to be living under these conditions. Am I hearing you right? Man, you want to understand? Tell me, do you have children? Do they go to school? Do they have playgrounds? My son is sick. He plays in open sewage. His classroom has no books. Have you seen a school that has no books? Marshall Rosenberg. I hear how painful it is for you to raise your children here. You'd like me to know that what you want is what all parents want for their children: a good education, opportunity to play and grow in a healthy environment. Man, that's right, the basics. Human rights. Isn't that what you Americans call it? Why don't more of you come here and see what kind of human rights you are bringing here? Marshall Rosenberg. You'd like more Americans to be aware of the enormity of the suffering here and to look more deeply at the consequences of our political actions. Our dialogue continued, with him expressing his pain for nearly 20 more minutes, and me listening for the feeling and the need behind each statement. I did not agree or disagree. I received his words not as attacks, but as gifts from a fellow human willing to share his soul and deep vulnerabilities with me. Once the gentleman felt understood, he was able to hear me explain my purpose for being at the camp. An hour later, the same man who had called me a murderer was inviting me to his home for a Ramadan dinner. Next.
Yeah. Okay, so we have finished chapter 1, and now we will discuss what is, uh, let me see the exact word. What in this chapter, what you like the most? This is the real most revealing aspect for you from this chapter. Sangeet ji, will you start?
Yes, I'll start. See, the first most important thing that he has written is that it is our nature to enjoy giving and receiving in a compassionate manner. That is the basic nature of every human being, that we enjoy giving and receiving in a compassionate manner. And probably when that need is not met, which is the biggest need and basic need of all of us, we resort to violent means of communication. So first we have to understand that that is our nature, and we have to live and use words and the language of communication which is in sync with our nature. We should not go against our nature. First, that is very important to recognize that. And also, again, he's specified the importance of the crucial role of language and use of words. So, in our ability to stay compassionate, that is very, very important. To stay compassionate, then the language we use and the words we use have to be aligned to our feeling of compassion. If it is not aligned, then that is when the problem happens. So, how do we reach them? Instead of habitual automatic reactions, our words become conscious responses based firmly on awareness of what we are perceiving, feeling, and wanting. That's what he said. That instead of that's what we all of us do. That is the whole problem. We just whatever it's become a habit. An automatic reaction happens. We do not pause. So over here, what Master has said, that we can connect, that we have to pause and use our words. Our words should become conscious responses, which will become when we pause, connect, and speak. So here we can connect both NVC to our heartfulness, what Master has said.
So this is the way to stay compassionate, right?
Yes, this is the way to stay
Okay.
compassionate. Yes.
Okay.
So for that, he has given us the process has 4 components: observations, feelings, needs, and requests. So now we have to learn the language in the sense that they've given that example of the mother talking to her son. where she first observes what is irritating her. So what his dirty socks. And then what is the feeling? First she observes it and then the feeling is irritated. She says, I feel irritated. And what is her need? Her need is that this is a room that we all share in common. So I need order in this room. So instead of attacking the child, saying, remove your socks and using an angry tone, she just expresses what she's feeling, what is her observation, what she's feeling, and what she needs from him. First sentence is that, and in the second part of the conversation, she requests, would you be willing to put your socks in your room or in the washing machine? So that is the way now we have to start modeling our conversation on. But at the same time, he also says that there is no fixed formula. Your body language, your expressions, everything is included in it. And sometimes silence is very important. Silence is sometimes speaks larger than words. So these four are the components of NVC that we have to incorporate, try to incorporate in our lives. And then he has given us examples of real life of NVC in action. So mainly that is what it is. The summary was that we have to focus on four areas. We have to focus our consciousness in four areas of our life. What we are observing, what we are feeling after observing that, and what are we needing, and what we are requesting to enrich our lives. So we have to start listening, observing, feeling, needing. What we have to start observing ourselves. When we are in a conversation, it has to be an automatic process as to we have to even observe ourselves, what we need, what we are feeling, what we need, and then we have to put it in a request form to the other person, which I guess in the next few chapters we are going to learn how to request without any judgment, without any kind of criticism. The conversation should flow in that manner. So
Right. Shamaji, would you like to add anything?
Yes, sister. Like normally we see the compassion as a character, like it's attributes of our personality. But here, what I observe, like what I felt by reading this chapter, that it is the way we say it, it's a meditative state. So compassion should always be there. So when we talk and when we listen, that time especially even when we are not talking, is for body language. Sometimes we make conscious effort in speaking slowly, like with respect and all, but we don't have a proper control over our body language. Like that may show anger or our annoyance, or like especially when you don't like what the other person is telling them, just to feeling that he should finish it. So that comes. So those things, like it's a yeah, it's very nice. It was revealing for me, and how beautifully like they are using in such a difficult situations, where as a, there's no scope of, like you feel there's no scope of communication, proper communication, artful communication between the two enemy states and all. There also it works if they are using it effectively. So that's revealing.
Right.
Yes, it's just
Malvika
extension
ji,
of our artful communication. I think it's like same thing, but it's more other. It's a give newer or like more broader extension to that. Mm.
right. Malvika ji, would you like to add something?
Yeah, sister, everything has been covered. It just keeps me in awe, actually, a wonder, and also it helps me to appreciate the world leaders who are in their capacity there. We think, yeah, they are policy makers and they are ruling the world, but actually, they are the ones who are actually using this. Not in formal words of non-violent communication, but the way they are conveying and discussing, and that is how they are impacting. um like when these leaders and all, they are meeting internationally and conveying their point, uh whenever whenever they are speaking with non-violent communication, maybe it is in their way or they are deliberately making that effort, it definitely gives us a feeling of, happiness and confidence, because the person who's conveying has a respect, when he's conveying. Whereas if you see, आप न्यूज में देख लीजिए कि the same leader, another leader who is conveying the same thing, his intentions are to get peace, but the way that person is communicating is with a different intention, right? So the words that person is using, the body language and all, so the person who's receiving will not be very happy to receive it. That person will receive it because there is no other choice. But that feeling of happiness and joyfulness and also and confidence will come only if that person has spoken with respect. That is all non-violent communication. तो मुझे अभी लास्ट लाइन में एज सिस्टर शमा वाज सेइंग पॉलिटिकल बात, तो मुझे वही चीज हम ट्राई करेगी जब हम लोग देखते हैं इतना न्यूज में. इट इज ऑल अबाउट हाउ टू लीडर्स in their own capacity, how they are communicating makes all the difference. That is what. I don't know
Right.
whether I made sense, but that is what I felt.
Yeah, definitely, sister. Anuji, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, yes, there are so many things in this single chapter that each page I think so we can go deeper and deeper and learn from it. Um, though we all are sharing the same lesson. So what I want also to add here, that what is important is the use of the word consciously. Because here the first chapter said even the single word that our author received during his class made so much of difference. Yeah. So even the what it is pointing out at even the single word can affect so much in the atmosphere, that how, where and how you are using it. As it is, this sentence is written here, our words become conscious response based firmly on awareness of what we are perceiving, feeling, and wanting. I mean, I always come to the center here. The consciousness is very, very much important. Whenever in any environment, when I'm not in that consciousness, I don't know what is happening. So, if I have to use this non-violent communication, I have to be connected with it and very much conscious in which situation, what is required, and what I am sharing and receiving. This is the one thing. And second, one more sentence that touched me is, on a deeper level, is an ongoing reminder. We have to keep on reminding if we wish to reach that level, is an ongoing reminder to keep our attention focused on a place. This is very important, what I uh, feel, where we are more likely to get what we are seeking. That was the last conversation here between author and the man, where there was very, very few possibilities to even create a dialogue. And still he tried and he was successful getting not only going through the dialogue, but also receive the respect, that connection, that feeling, that the person who was saying that I am going to murder you, inviting him. This is something, I mean, very amazing for me. Because under such situations, it is very, very difficult to keep yourself calm, listen completely, properly, put your complete heart to the person who wished to kill you. Yeah, this is something very deep, I feel. And he kept on trying, and the result was wonderful. And second instance, I would like to mention here about that teacher with that student, because I myself went through with this thing so long. Uh, with the student, it is very difficult to make them understand if they are bullying in the class. And what was the important lesson I got from here, that teacher didn't stop after saying something. She continued till she got the result. She is written here. I used to give the cues to that person, that particular student who was bullying in the class, and it took me some time. I constantly giving the cues in the class because I wish to reach to all the students, and then slowly that student understood and got the feeling, got the connection, and started to doing what the teacher really wanted. So it is a ongoing process, and it is important when we are in the situation, because here discussing, I mean, it's not that, it is okay that we are learning the things, but when we are put in the situation, this is what we have to learn, and this is the ongoing process each day with consciousness. Thank you.
Yeah. For me, these two parts of NVC was very revealing, something expressing honestly through the four components and receiving empathetically through the four components. Expressing honestly and receiving empathetically. Okay, so now we will move to the fourth part of our meeting, that is to choose any two things to practice this week. If you want some time, we can wait for some time and then continue. One very big thing for me is I like to keep things clear with everybody. There should not be any confusion or there should not be any uh, difference of opinion, something like that. So every conversation I end up with the clarifying whatever happened and like that. But since I don't know, but since this session has started, this thing is has gone. So it is quite of a peak of emotion. I think that time I feel peak of emotion while clearing out those things. So this feeling has gone. I don't know how, but it's gone.
I would like to focus on speaking consciously, which is what I don't do. I just speak. So I have to speak consciously, and for that I have to learn to pause and connect within. That's what I have to do. So these are the 2 points that I have for the next week.
I need to practice on receiving empathetically and expressing honestly. These 2 points I'll practice. Anuji,
Yes, I try speaking and listening both from the heart with consciousness. Speaking as well as listening, both from the heart consciously. And as I always feel, like as Master always refers, intention to connect rather than correction, because this something also comes in a way when you listen and feel things are not as you feel. So always I try to be conscious when speaking that intention to connect rather than connect correction. So these 2 points I'm taking for this week. Thank you.
For me, like,
Malvika ji, yeah, Shama ji.
sorry, sorry. Yeah, Malika sister, please.
It's okay, you continue.
For me, it was after reading, it was revealing that even by receiving compassionately, we give something. So, like while giving, we try to be, polite, humble, or behave, but receiving sometimes I do, but sometimes we ignore that in a hurry or something. So that may also be hurting someone. So that suddenly that feeling came to me that it's so I'll at least for all these I will be observing that all the four factors they have mentioned na, like needs and feeling. So every communication of me as well as listening for others. So I'll at least try to sort of like observe that whether I'm able to pinpoint these four things or not during every conversation. So
Right. Malvika ji?
Yes, sister. So I thought rather I have to continue first on the same thing which I have been making, trying to make an effort is to pause every now and then more consciously, more frequently, connect and then listen without interruption. That is one thing. And secondly, I would like to explore this thing, the fourth thing that seeing the example of requesting, to convey through a request. Because it so
Yes,
much resonates in this situation which they had given about the mother, and it so much resonates with, our family situations. So I
right.
actually want to make an attempt towards this and let me see if I'm able to, you know, be effective some way a little bit. So that is what I want to challenge myself on that.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Anything anybody want to share? We forgot one part actually that our experience on applying last week. So that
Experience,
we should focus. Sister,
Could
experience.
you
when we
repeat
were
what you
applying,
said? Could you please repeat?
Yeah.
uh, in part one, in part one of the meeting, we need to discuss that what are the uh, experience we got while applying or practicing heartfulness communication last week. So that we forgot to discuss it.
Now we will remember to do it next time when we meet.
Anuji,
Sister, it's actually, I
your mic
think
is on. Yeah.
mic is on.
Yes, yes. Okay. If you are speaking, then otherwise, yeah, because there is some sound, background sounds. No?
yes,
Yeah, Shamaji.
yeah, I would like to share one thing.
Yes.
Happened yesterday only in my office. Somehow I was feeling that like one of my colleague, she's, I mean, she's just next to me, and she is having some feeling like that in office situations. And I just remembered, and somehow I was just praying that Pastor, I mean, she should get over that feeling. I'm really very grateful to her and like always respect for her contribution. And the moment I was finishing, and she was there in my room. So we had a long time, like whatever I wanted to tell something, I was not very, whatever situation I like discussed in a very pleasant manner. I conveyed whatever I want to convey, but with the respect and all. So I was very happy ki how this miracle has happened. So that's it.
Mm, yeah. I think similar thing happened with me also. There is one sister. Uh, we are living like a buddy nowadays. Just we are sharing and practicing and sharing each other what we are practicing so that we can, keep ourselves continue with the practices. So one day she was quite in a low mode and she started telling whatever is going in her life. And after some point, I felt little overwhelmed. I thought that I cannot take it. So I just asked her to wait for 5 minutes and I'll call her back. Then I sit for meditation and pray to master that help this sister. I just by listening, nothing is going to work. So I just pray to master with my deeper self that please help this sister. And I'm feeling very sorry for her pain like that. And means I cannot do anything for her. So just with deep heart request, I pray to master. And after 10 minutes, I called her back and she said, Rashi, I was feeling so low, but now I'm feeling quite healthy and I'm feeling very relaxed. So I said, yes, that prayer worked. And she was feeling sick, she was feeling sad, but in 10 minutes, everything got changed. So this prayer thing helped a lot.
Yes,
Because
sister.
I think I know not exploring much before, so this was good.
Yes, actually, the working place has the maximum challenges, if anywhere. And for me, whisper reading, that helped me a lot. Because so many situations, so many things, and sometimes when you promoted and get the position of the main authority, and then to tackle the whole the staff and everything, it is something very very difficult. And from my heart, I know I am able to do only because of I am a Sahajmark Abhyasi, and whisper reading that I am sharing here is my, I mean, say I can say my life. That helped me a lot.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
Same with me.
yes,
This heartfulness communication classes helping me a lot
yes,
in so many areas. Okay.
yes.
Sangeet ji, would you like to add something or shall we conclude the meeting?
I think we can conclude.
Malvika ji?
Yeah, we can go ahead. I mean, I had a similar thing which I have been going through. I have also a friend, a very good friend of mine, and she has undergone a little trouble in her family because of which she's under depression and into medicines and all. So it has just happened, and it makes me realize that actually this is helping me listen to her without even opening my mouth. And actually, after a lot of conversations, she actually shared with me that thank you for listening to me. So that I would initially say ye karna cha, ye karna cha, ye karna, and then somehow slowly that all stopped automatically, and I was just listening to her. And then she would say, no, you are the only person at least I'm able to share, and I feel good about it. So that made me realize that yes, it is very important to remain conscious of the fact that not advise and only keep listening. That was.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so see you all. Can we have one selfie?
Mm.
So this selfie will be in this our recording. Okay, please smile, everyone. Anuji, you are in dark, and Sangeet ji, you are also in dark. Come in a lighty place. Yeah. Okay, smile, everybody. Okay, done. Okay, see you all
Thank you,
next meeting.
Rashi.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Happy
Yeah.
I
weekend.
don't know how to
Thank
leave the
you.
meeting. Rashi, you'll have to guide me. I don't know how to leave the meeting. I'm always stuck
There is
there.
one red button, no?
Red button is there.
Yes.
Where
Phone,
we put the
phone.
yeah.
Sister,
Okay.
phone. There is phone. You just have to close it.
I have a red button phone.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll
yeah.
do. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
So, okay.
Bye
very
bye.
happy
All
Holi
the
to
best.
all of you.
Happy day.
Thank you. Same to you. Yeah. Happy
Okay,
Holi.
bye.